What's up, nerds? It's your boy. It's 12 noon, broadcasting live from here, Site B, on the 17th day of January, 2023. It is I, the OGGM, your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and nonsense on this lovely Tuesday morning post-aerial flood. And I thought, hey, all this OGL thing, we can get a break, right? We can rest, we can refresh, we can, maybe talk about, I don't know, how to build traps or something, or review. Nope, no, sorry. No, no break for you. We have more news and nonsense from Wizards of the Coast, OGL, and we even have some perplexing and perhaps concerning information regarding PAIZO and the upcoming ORC. Yeah. So I think a lot of people are counting on PAIZO to be the holy grail, rescue us of this whole war thing. And I think a lot of people are hoping, Critical Role will make their own gumming game and they'll rescue us and save us from this whole OGL 2.0 thing. But, will they? Because on the tail end of this whole OGL 2.0 thing is the same thing that we've been arguing over for the last 10 years, and it's the whole inclusiveness thing. And, all the companies involved, Wizards of the Coast, of course, has a morality clause built into OGL, and PAIZO and KOBOLD also have a history of inclusiveness. So let's first look at the latest rumor that has been 90% confirmed from our friends at Wizards of the Coast. This comes to us originally from Dungeon Scribe, but it has been confirmed by multiple individuals, including Tanker. These are the plans for D&D Beyond going forward, starting 2024 as part of the 50th anniversary 6th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Yes, they're calling it 6th edition. Sorry, 1D&D, no more. They might still be calling it 1D&D in that playtest, but in-house, it's 6th edition D&D. And as for that whole, it's going to be backwards compatible? No, it's not. And I'm going to tell you now why it's not going to be backwards compatible. So if you're not familiar with how D&D Beyond works now, you can log on to D&D Beyond and use it for free. You only have access to the SRD, which some people would argue the actual SRD for your 5e is actually better than 5e. I am one of those who would agree. If you want to use basic Player's Handbook, DM's Guide, Monster Manual, you have to subscribe. Subscribing lets you get more characters, more locker space, more access to books. You can use any of the basic books. And I think the subscription is $15 a month, I'm going to say. I could be wrong. It's a certain amount of money. But then, let's say you want to use, I don't know, my favorite, Tomb of Annihilation for D&D Beyond. You have to pay the digital price of Tomb of Annihilation to add it to your D&D Beyond bookcase. Then anything that's in Tomb of Annihilation, you can use during your playing if you're using it for D&D Beyond. Access to the book, access to the character sheets, any Tomb of Annihilation specific feats, what have you. Plus, supposedly, if they ever update Tomb of Annihilation, it would automatically update to D&D Beyond. And when this thing actually happens in 2024, when they switch over to digital 6th edition and this legendary virtual tabletop finally appears, which still, as of this date, nobody has seen anything from the virtual tabletop, it will automatically talk to each other. That is the myth that they're trying to perpetrate in regards to the virtual tabletop in D&D Beyond 2024. Well, as we know, after we crashed and burnt D&D Beyond to the point where they had to remove the ability for you to cancel your D&D Beyond subscription. So now if you are one of the many who hasn't had a chance to cancel your D&D Beyond subscription, which currently I think is at 40 or 50,000 subs have gone, which I don't know, may or may not be a lot. Considering, well, let's look at this. Apparently 40,000 people took the surveys for one D&D 1 and one D&D 2, was about 20,000 each. And 40,000 people just unsubscribed from D&D Beyond. So that's pretty much everybody who bothered to take the survey for one D&D 1 and one D&D 2 gone, including Jeannie D. So yeah, that's, I think, how D&D Beyond works now. Could be wrong. I don't know. Hi, Cat Monroe Superhero. This is what they have planned. This has been confirmed. They're converting it from a subscription service to a tiered service. The top tier will be $30 a month per player. There will be tiers below that. See, homebrew, bandit based tiers, but those lower tiers won't be able to use any of the cool stuff. If you want to use full ability to everything, base D&D Beyond, Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, GM screen, dice rollers, whatever you get now for the monthly subscription, that's the $30 a month per player D&D Beyond subscription. That's not counting the digital downloads. That's not counting the digital marketplace. That's not counting all the cosmetics or adding any new things like books. That's just $30 a month to be able to use D&D Beyond. Now, there will be lower tiers, I guess $10, $50, or maybe probably $10 tier gives you basic access to the SRD. $20 tier gives you basic access to Player's Handbook. And then the $30 tier gives you the whole shebang. But as of 2024, no OGL 1.0 product will be able to be accessed on D&D Beyond. Well, that means no backwards compatible, because there is a ton of OGL 1.0 5th edition product out there that up to now you could use D&D Beyond. Case in point, you know, every week I mention the free maps and free new subclasses that are up on GM's Guild. They have like at least 10 new subclasses every month. Every week, 10 new maps every week that are free. Most of those have VTT/D&D Beyond conversions. So if you find a new build for the artifact class on DM's Guild, it would talk to D&D Beyond if that person spent the extra 5 seconds to do it. Can't do that anymore. It's deauthorized. OGL 1.0. You know what else falls under OGL 1.0? Pretty much every book that was made by third-party publishers for 50 that up to now you could put on D&D Beyond because of the D&D Beyond virtual tabletop sprites, like the Acquisitions Incorporated book. Nope, sorry. No longer. Anything OGO 1.0 that was made for 5th edition will not be able to be accessed or used or uploaded on to D&D Beyond 2024. Well, how would they stop that? We could just enter it as homebrew rules. Nope, because homebrew is banned at the base tiers. So unless you want to pay the $30 a month, you can't enter anything that would fall under the very vague heading of homebrew. Well, does a drawing that I did of my character count as homebrew because it's not official D&D art? Well, let's remember the you can't make any D&D art anymore, only we can clause. So yeah, that's homebrew. Well, what if I want to build my world in D&D Beyond? Nope, you can't. That's homebrew. What if I want to make a class that's specific to my game? Nope, that's homebrew. What if I want to enter a race that's specific to my game? Like, I don't know, carrot people. Nope, that's homebrew. What if nope, that's also homebrew. How about, nope, that would fall under homebrew. No, again, that falls under homebrew. Oh, well, what can I use? All the official stuff that we've put on, you can use if you pay $30 a month. But if we introduce a new adventure, like Tomb of the Haunted Sandwich, you're still going to have to pay for that. And you're also going to have to pay for all the digital cosmetics that come with Tomb of the Haunted Sandwich. So if you want your character to have the same cloak in the digital that they found in the actual game, well, that's going to cost you. How much? I don't know, probably $15. But don't worry, because we'll also have loot boxes. And because, one, they want to monetize Dungeons and Dragons as much as they can. And two, because Wizards of the Coast told us that there are not enough players, not enough DMs to service, probably the wrong word, to provide gaming for all the players. There's more players than there are DMs for 5th edition. What? There's more players? There's always been. That's not new news. They're going to strip down the gameplay so they could add artificial intelligence dungeon masters. So for $30 a month, you'll be able to have the stupidest, most stripped down version of D&D Beyond, because eventually Wizards of the Coast wants to add in dungeon masters. So you dungeon masters are out of a job, because we know that DMs are getting paid, and Wizards of the Coast doesn't want you to have a paid DMing job. So they're going to enter a AI DM. How good is this AI DM going to be? Well, I don't know. Probably not that great, but it could be funny. I mean, if anybody's ever tried to have a conversation with Siri, you know, or use AI Dungeon or any of the AI art programs, they're okay at best. But yes, why would they enter that? Well, because we know that Wizards of the Coast said that there's more players than the DMs, so we want to have an ability to let as many people play as they want. So we're going to have the stripped down AI DM your game for you. Billy, you take a left and you see a frumble. A what? A frumble. I'm sorry, Siri, could you repeat that? I said you see a Fergal. Siri, what? What did you just say? Take a right at the next turn. Yeah, and this has been confirmed as 90% accurate. Now, moving on to the other news. Let's just not forget that while we're all expecting PAIZO and the orc to save us from the machinations of Wizards of the Coast 2024 D&D, that both PAIZO and Kobold don't have a great reputation in regards to the whole censorship team. So PAIZO, as we know, has whole pages in their books since to telling you how you must play the game and be inclusive. It harasses customers, aggressively moderates forums against anyone to the right. Retrocon glory and lore to be more inclusive. Starfinder even had an adventure where you needed to get a professor at a university to apologize for being incentive despite being factually correct. So there we go. And if you didn't, yeah. So we know that PAIZO has entered the morality clause thing. We know that Wizards of the Coast is going to have the forced inclusivity morality clause thing. Kobold Press, in their guide to game mastering, has a whole section telling the reader to check their privilege, and whole thing kind of reads like a gender studies course, actively discouraging cis white males. And also apparently they chart this. Is this true? No, this comes from an individual named Katie Did, who posted this. How accurate is this? I don't know. I know PAIZO did the thing. I'm very aware of their censorship inclusive thing. I remember hearing that Kobold did the same thing. We know a lot of people jumped on the censorship thing when that was going around. You know, we've got to be inclusive. Orcs are racist. We've got to kowtow to these Andrew, Youngs and these Connie Changs and these Jeannie D's, even though apparently Jeannie D might be changing her tune, and give them a inclusive atmosphere. Of course, this inclusive atmosphere perpetuates things like censorship and reversed inclusiveness. It actually is very much more where they are idiots. They should have encouraged third party to help them prepare for the next edition instead of monopolizing it, develop the areas they don't. Yes, they should have. But remember, Wizards of the Coast thinks you're an idiot and wants to make up things to help you. Remember, they're doing this all for your benefit, boys and girls, your benefit. Now, the hope is that ORC will not include this inclusiveness thing, that it will just be a open RPG license that anybody and their dog can create product under, that will be protected by this third-party law company and will be protected. So you, Cat Monroe, and you, Isa Walsh, and you, Dark Winter, can all write stuff under ORC and not worry about Wizards of the Coast, not worry about the censorship. You know, that's a whole argument, dude, that I could get into separately about the reverse racism. That's not the point. The concern is, will PAIZO have this clause? And if it does, well, then, you know, is it truly going to be the saving grace for the OGL if it's just going to have this blanket censorship canon? I mean, who decides what is morale? Let's use the example I used the other day. We know there is tons of Critical Role, light fiction, and erotica out there. Now, what if under Orc somebody says, oh, I find the light erotica fan fiction you've done for Starfinder to be age inappropriate, so you have to censor it. You can't out there. What if somebody writes an adventure where there's slavers? Oh, no, sorry, that's racist. You know, slavery is a bad thing. You can't publish your adventure. What if somebody creates an adventure and on the cover there's a picture of a golden idol of Isis with one breast bare, which, you know, those are actual things you would see in museums of an Amazon with one breast bare, or an Egyptian goddess with one breast bare. That's art, dude. Well, I'm offended by this booby, so you have to get rid of the art and replace it with inclusive art. Make Isis, you know, a trans black woman who's morbidly obese in a wheelchair, or it's racist. That's the fear, is that Orc will not be any different, that we still will not grow up out of this ridiculousness of the last 10 years, that the game is bad. Thank you, PBS, for just stirring that pot. We thought that was over, but nope. Once again, if you've been playing the game longer than 5 years, you're a horrible, awful person who is every possible version of just awesomeness. I'm rewriting 3E Oriental Adventures because some idiot author said the word Oriental was racist, despite there being an intercontinental train with that word. Yes, I know, the Orient Express. You don't have to rewrite it, dude. I'll tell you right now, people from that part of the world worked on Oriental Adventures. I should know. I know some of them. Also, Oriental's Adventures was made for one thing and one thing only. Let's just turn the Wayback Machine to that time in the United States. There was a certain thing that had become unbelievably popular out of Japan, a certain trend, and everybody was trying to milk that trend. And that trend was ninjas. Bam, 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 bam. Ninjas, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Ninja. Oriental Adventures was just TSR's attempt to jump on the ninja bandwagon that every other company was jumping on. If you're going to say Oriental Adventures is racist, you got to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is racist. You got to say Daredevil is racist. You got to say Batman is racist. You got to say Power Rangers is racist. You got to say everything that came out of the 80s that had anything even vaguely related to ninjas, racist. Snake Eyes, you're racist because you're a ninja. Yeah. Oriental Adventures was written just to milk the ninja fad of the 80s. Even they said so. All right, moving on. So yeah, that's our concern, is this nonsense will be part of the Orc, and that, you know, it won't be an open game. And there's, you know, you don't need to put that in. Every company who is part of the Orc should have the freedom to say whether they feel their product is age appropriate or not. You know, and some people are going to put stuff out there, hopefully, that is a little bit more adult oriented, or a little bit more grim, or features things that up till now were okay in the hobby, whether it be slavery or nudity or evil races, you know. You just put the little thing that says, you know, this product contains depictions of supernatural horror, blah, blah, blah. Just remember, this is a game. It's not real. It doesn't actually have any bearing on the real life. Please do not try and summon Orcus on your own at home without proper supervision. It worked in the 80s. It worked in the 90s. It would work now. In fact, if you put that adult supervision only label on your product, it might increase sales, because it did for the albums when they put those adult supervision required on the albums. I mean, several albums, became gold albums simply because the ratings board said, oh no, this is a no-no album that talks about no-no things. We need to make sure that nobody under the age of 18 buys it. And that album went platinum. Just remove the inclusion thing, remove the morality clause, just say, look, Green Ronin, Freeport, that features a lot of imagery some people might find problematic, like piracy, debauchery, drinking, gambling, smoking, nude mermaids, stuff like that. Just put a thing on it. This book contains depictions of the following. Make up your own mind whether you want to buy it or not, but do not censor creators, because then we wouldn't have accomplished anything. Of all the things we fought over the last week, over this whole OGL blessness, it was don't censor us. Don't tell me I can't make my Critical Role fan art. Don't tell me I can't write this game and put it out there and be okay, because for the past 20 some odd years, you've been telling us it is okay. And just now, Wizards of the Coast, you woke up and went, oh, wait, people have been using the OGL? That's not what we intended it for. I don't know how we didn't notice all the money we've made off of them over the past 20 years. But yeah, no, we never intended it. So save us, Kitty-chan, save us. Be vigilant, because Wizards of the Coast is counting on us to forget. They're counting on us to get upset over the next thing, like this. This whole inclusiveness, and PAIZO's just as bad. That's what they're counting on. They're counting us to lose our attention, focus our rage on something else, and then they'll just slip it under. And I got a letter on a response from one of my videos that I put up the other day, I think. Where is it? This comes from Chase Carlin. Thank you. And he's responding to my post about Trollord games selling so much. And his response was, well, Hasbro doesn't care less. Yes. The new D&D movie has been in the works for years, since they bought Entertainment One, the company producing the movie. The new D&D movie has been in works since the 90s, because I remember sitting at the Starbucks on Ventura and Laurel talking to Eric Bress, the gentleman who was writing the script at the time, about the script at the time. No coincidence. They're shoring up control of the brand when the movie comes out, and the 500 million new. I don't think the movie's going to do 500 million new fans, and it's certainly not going to get people to want to start playing D&D that weren't playing before. If anything, the movie will sell a lot of action figures. Let's see. They hedged the funds that owed Hasbro. Hasbro stock is up. Yep, it's up about 16%. My shares are now $122. And Hasbro will spend money to back Wizards of the Coast there's nothing here that this guy says that isn't a surprise. I mean, Hasbro doesn't care. They're moving towards digital media. Okay. 2 years ago, at the Hasbro Pulse, the then CEO of Hasbro came forward and told all attendants what Hasbro had planned for 2023. I read that, posted it, and everybody said I was stupid. I didn't know what I was talking about. At the beginning of 2022, at Hasbro Pulse, the then CEO of Hasbro came forward and said, this is what we're going to do. And everybody said, no, that's stupid. They're not going to do that. Then at San Diego Comic Book Con, Hasbro came out and said, hey, we're still planning on doing this. And everybody said, no, Wizards of the Coast would never do that. You don't know what you're talking about. Then at the shareholder conference, they came forward and said, okay, this is what we're going to do in 2023. These are our plans. These are the things we're investing the most energy and money in. Number one, Peppa Pig. Number two, digital. Number 3, Nerf and Play-Doh. Number 4, Power Rangers Transformers. Number 5, physical D&D. I said this, people are like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. They bought D&D Beyond. They said, the reason why we're buying D&D Beyond is because we want to do this with D&D. Oh, no, they would never do that. Why would they do that? Then, right before the year ended, they're like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're starting to play test. We bought D&D Beyond. We're taking D&D digital. We have all these plans. No, they would never do that. Why would they do that? That's dumb. Why would they do that? That was never done. The year rolls over. New CEO comes out and says D&D is under monetized. We want to make more money, and the way we want to do it is to turn D&D into a digital marketplace. Almost every day for the first week of January, I was talking about this, and almost every day people are like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. That's stupid. They would not do that. Bam! What? Oh my God, they did that. They literally are doing what they told you they were going to do 2 years ago. So you have 2 years to be prepared for this. But no, everybody was like, surprise! What, Hasbro? Why would you do what you said you were going to do 2 years ago? How dare you? And I believe if you look at the calendar, what's it say? Oh, June 2027, D&D 6X. What did they say? Oh, yeah, we're going to be investing money and energy in digital D&D from 2023 to 2027. That is our circle of where we expect to invest the most energy and get the most refunds. Digital. Physical D&D, you're out of here. We've already got another thing planned. Wizards of the Coast will be gone by 2027. They don't need it. If anything, Wizards of the Coast allows them to place blame and, make stupid comments that people get angry about, and then Hasbro can come in and go, okay, we see what Wizards of the Coast has done. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the insider news from Wizards of the Coast is, of course, that the employees are very upset. The D&D Beyond employees are very upset. Hasbro's looking to replace at least 30 people within the Wizards of the Coast / D&D Beyond community. After, you remember, last year they restructured Wizards of the Coast, moved them to a brand new office building, separate from where they were before, Hasbro Seattle. They sold off board games. They sold off digital. They're in the process of selling off media. They gave the license to 4 of their major IPs to a separate company. Renegade Press has the license to Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and more importantly, My Little Pony. And if you think D&D makes them millions worldwide, don't forget Peppa, Power Rangers, and My Little Pony makes them billions worldwide. And always will. So, yeah, this is their plans. They've been talking about this movie since the 90s. The movie will be out, and then that'll be it. I mean, nobody is expecting it to start a franchise. Even the actors involved are saying this isn't going to start a franchise. Chris Pine is basically saying this is a joke. D&D is a fun game to play while you're drunk. This is a fun movie. It'll be... how much do you want to bet that they're going to sell it off? How much do you want to bet? Because pretty much every prediction I have made so far has come true. The only thing I didn't count on was AI DM. But now that I think about it, yeah, I could see them trying to do that. So do I think they're going to sell off Wizards of the Coast? Of course I do. Why wouldn't they? What does Wizards of the Coast do now? It makes D&D? No. An ever-changing collection of rent-for-hire artists and writers make D&D. They come in, they work on a project, they're gone. What does Wizards of the Coast do? Make D&D Beyond? No. A whole bunch of other people make D&D Beyond. The D&D Beyond crowd and the Wizards of the Coast crowd completely separate. What does Wizards of the Coast do? Make Magic? No. Magic cards aren't made over there. They're made at printing presses someplace else. every set is put together by a community, and we know for the past 2 years, Wizards of the Coast has been horribly mishandling Magic. So what does Wizards of the Coast actually do that Hasbro actually needs them for other than take blame? Well, they put a product out that is questionable. People get angry at Wizards of the Coast for releasing the product. Then Hasbro makes somebody else come out and apologize for the product. They bring their product back, and then they release the product again through Beatles and Grimm with all the no-no stuff removed, but now you have to pay for it again, double the price, because we added 16 new pages of art. Wizards of the Coast doesn't do anything. Roll out Chris Perkins 3 times a year to show up at a convention and run a game? Roll out Crawford to talk about something? Wizards of the Coast doesn't do anything other than take blame. So, yeah, why would they keep him around? They sell him off because Hasbro doesn't, I keep saying this and people keep saying you're wrong. So I'm going to say it again. And I know I'm going to be right. And people are going to be like, oh my God, he was right. So yeah, Hasbro does not make money off D&D, the game. They literally said so. What did she say at the beginning of the year? We don't think D&D makes enough money. It's under monetized. We want to monetize it more so it resembles more of like a digital video game. We want more toys. We want more T-shirts. We want more lunch boxes. We want more breakfast cereals. We want another cartoon. We want things that are profit. It's not profit. A book that costs us tons of money. Yeah, that's not making us money. It does make us money. Action figures. So yeah, D&D they don't need Wizards of the Coast to make D&D 6th edition. They don't need Wizards of the Coast to make Magic the Gathering. It's possible that whoever researched it realized how much money they were actually getting from it, and those idiots thought they could do better. What is he referring to? I don't know. Who knows who does the research at Wizards of the Coast? Wizards of the Coast has said, their main source for information regarding the D&D community right now is D&D Beyond, which makes sense because D&D Beyond is right there. So they can literally just look over to the next computer and go, oh, we lost 40,000 people today. As opposed to the industry numbers, which they don't actually get, until the quarter ends. They gotta, you gotta accumulate all the numbers from Diamond. They gotta accumulate all the numbers from Alliance. They gotta accumulate all the numbers from Target. They gotta accumulate all the numbers from Amazon. They gotta accumulate all the numbers from Barnes and Noble. They gotta accumulate all the numbers from every state in the union. Then they gotta deal with the overseas numbers, which are completely different. And the overseas third-party companies who release their products, and then they got to deal with the numbers of all the overseas production companies. So that's why they do, we divide it up into quarters. So we won't know the actual damage to the end of Q1, or possibly even Q2. So the actual damage, if we caused any, we won't even know till March, April, when they release the numbers for the beginning of the year. So we can be proud of what we did now, and we cost them 40,000 subs, but until the end of the quarter, we really won't know. And then that's when Hasbro will decide, what do we do? If Hasbro succeeded, then they're going to be like, it's not doing anything. They're fine. They can we give them the rope. We let them hang themselves. We're just going to wait till they start squabbling amongst themselves because somebody put art in, what's the next one? Journal of the Golden Key Safe Heist book, where it's crimes where nobody gets hurt, whatever the new book is coming out. Somebody, some Connie Chang is going to go through that book and be offended by one piece of art. Hasbro is going to count on everybody getting offended by that one piece of art. Stop paying attention to what's going on with D&D 6. They'll make, Crawford come out and apologize for the thing that offended you in that book. Then they'll have to have Perkins come out and actually say what Crawford was supposed to say until they're both gone. And then they'll bring it back, replace the offensive material, and re-release it in a brand new deluxe edition through Beetle and Grimm that'll cost you $150. But don't worry, we got rid of that problematic content, and here's 13 pages of new art. Meanwhile, we're all angry because some blue-haired woman called us cis white men over something that she was offended by in Golden Key. And while we're all arguing over that, here comes OGL 2.0, and here comes another chunk of Wizards of the Coast that Hasbro takes away. I'm calling it now. 2 years ago, y'all said I was stupid and I didn't know what I was talking about, but I'm not bitter. But you do all owe me a Snickers because I was right. Anyways, that's the news for today from the OGL nonsense. 1, Wizards of the Coast surprisingly wants to make as much money as they can off of D&D Beyond while they keep D&D Beyond around till the VTT goes live. Then they'll get rid of the D&D Beyond and try and convert everybody to the VTT. What a shock. They're turning it into a tiered pay-to-use, pay-to-win system, something they literally told you they were going to do 2 years ago. And PAIZO and KOBOLD Press have a history of using inclusiveness as a reason to censor people, and we have a concern that they will continue this with the ORC, which there's, as I said, absolutely no reason to have that morality clause. You just leave each individual company to police themselves, especially if they're claiming a third party is going to be responsible for the ORC. Then, yeah, you don't need to include that. You just say age-appropriate sticker or not. That's it. That's 36 minutes of me talking about stuff. All this information is out there, so don't listen to me. Look it up on your own. I'll post links if you want them. We can continue talking about this if you want us to. If you don't want to ever talk about this again, let me know, and we will never talk about it again. We will instead talk about Hello Kitty or something that's less frustrating than this D&D. I am not happy watching my beloved hobby be self-destruct yet again, but, you know, it's been on this downward spiral for years now. Just finally, we all took our heads out of our collective opinions and united for one brief week against the screaming death of the Dungeons and Dragons we know and love. But it's, you know, we're not going to stop the Hasbro monolith and what they want to do with D&D. It's just a matter of, will the future 6th edition digital D&D be popular? Probably initially it will, but long term, I don't see it having legs. Yeah, so, and will Hasbro sell off Wizards of the Coast? Eventually, in some form or another, yes. Will Hasbro get rid of Wizards of the Coast and D&D Beyond employees? Probably. Will they replace Crawford and Perkins? They kind of gotta have to. That's it for today. If you appreciate this, you know what to do. Please like, please share. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please subscribe to the OGGM Adventures and help me hit 1 billion subs by the end of this year. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me immensely, as those subs mean profit. And never forget that I will sell out. And speaking of selling out, the best way you can support the OGGM is to buy my merch exclusive on Big Geek Emporium. All my adventures being rewritten right now and will be up later today or tomorrow to follow under the new whatever. And of course, you can pick up your OGGM stickers like this one you're looking at right now, and t-shirts and coffee cups. And remember, merchandising, where the real money is. I have been your host, the OGGM, your guide to all the tabletop role-playing game news, weather, and general internet nonsense. Wishing you a rest of the great day, being sunny and warm and not uneventful. Now, in the immortal words of me, get off my land, you damn marks.